from WOUB.
And in sports, Ohio football is coming off a win on the road against Florida Atlantic. Newswatch starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Jessica Stelzer.
And I'm Ethan Sargent. Welcome to Newswatch.
Today marks 22 years since the deadliest terrorist attack in human history. This morning in Nelsonville, the community honored the bravery of those first responders and commemorate the fallen victims. Local emergency responders and the citizens they protect gathered in Nelsonville Public Square today to commemorate the September 11th terrorist attacks. It's a solemn memorial service that happens every year.
We do our salute, we ring the bell, just to kind of create a memorandum for the people lost.
Starting at 8:46 a.m., the exact time the first plane collided with the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. The memorial commemorates the exact moment each of the times of the 4 planes hit. Over 2,500 civilians lost their lives, while 72 law enforcement officers, almost 350 firefighters, and countless others risked and gave their lives to save others. When Jeff Williams, Nelsonville fire captain at the time, heard about the attacks in 2001, him and 2 other Nelsonville firefighters dropped everything and headed for New York City to aid in the rescue efforts. He told me his crew was one of the last ones across George Washington Bridge. Williams was there for 3 days working with the New York City Fire Department. A few weeks after Williams returned to Ohio, a letter published in countless Ohio newspapers and the Columbus Dispatch was looking for an Ohio fire captain who helped at the scene and disappeared.
They were great guys up there, and they put me in their uniform and made me one of their firefighters.
Williams said his engine in New York lost a lot of their men and women, so he helped out in the weeks after the attacks.
United States and Ohio state flags are being flown at half-staff today in recognition of Patriot Day and 9/11. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine made the order to fly flags at all public buildings and grounds throughout the state, which will remain at half-staff from sunrise until sunset today. The Columbus Dispatch reports volunteers went to the Ohio State House last Thursday to help place almost 3,000 U.S. flags on the West Lawn, honoring each of the victims of 9/11.
Solemn ceremonies are taking place across the nation to remember the fallen and honor first responders who continue to grapple with the aftermath of that day. Gloria Pazimino reports on the painful nostalgia engulfing the country.
Today, we pay tribute.
Mournful Americans honor the nearly 3,000 people who perished when 4 hijacked planes crashed into the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and a field in Pennsylvania.
2,977 innocent men, women, and children who lost their lives.
As memorial events take place across the nation, a heightened sense of awareness emerges for those who displayed remarkable acts of heroism on that tragic day.
The degrees of cancer are growing, and the cost of treatment is growing.
Those first responders are still struggling with health effects of handling toxic debris and materials at Ground Zero.
People were coming up with some respiratory ailments that were starting to create some disabilities.
At least 341 New York City firefighters, paramedics, and civilian support staff have died as a result of post-9/11 illnesses. Exposure to dust at the World Trade Center linked to heightened risk of cardiovascular and respiratory disease. Thousands of cancer diagnoses have also been linked to the toxic air during the attacks.
It's the people who aren't dying but are sick, and they're not living but they're alive. And no one measures that loss.
With each passing year, the list of first responders who succumbed to post-9/11 illnesses continues to rise. The names continually added to the World Trade Center Memorial Wall. In New York, I'm Gloria Pazimino reporting.
Good evening. Today has been a beautiful day to remember all of those impacted by 9/11. Right now we're looking at temperatures about 84 outside with some clear skies. So again, another beautiful day, and we're seeing some high pressure start to sneak up into the area, and that's what's creating those clear conditions outside. Now, a couple days ago we've seen some cloudy skies move out into the area, and now that's pushed out towards the east coast, and we're starting to take a look at some low pressure and cold fronts developing out to the west. And we can see that band right along there now with some rain associated with it, and we're looking at that coming in here the next couple of days. But temperatures have been really nice for the area. We've had that cold front move through, so that lowered everything down from the 90s into the mid 80s into the upper 70s as well. And we're looking at these temperatures here to stay for a while. So these fall conditions are really in store for us, especially with this overnight low of about 58 with those partly cloudy skies. So it's going to be a beautiful night tonight, and things will cool down a little bit more as that cold front starts to move through. Be sure to stay tuned for my full forecast. We're going to talk more about this rain that we're expecting tomorrow night into Wednesday.
After calls for his resignation, Bob Young announces he is resigning from the Ohio House of Representatives. Members from both sides of the aisle called on Young's resignation after being arrested twice on domestic violence charges. The charges stem from a fight between him and his wife and brother at his home in Stark County. In his resignation letter, Young says the charges have become a distraction, and he says he's looking forward to total vindication as the court process plays out. As for the rest of the House, the first House session is scheduled for Wednesday. Ohio lawmakers want to change the state's energy policy. Democratic lawmakers say they want to limit how energy companies can lobby lawmakers and where that money comes from to do that. Democrats also want to get energy customers off the hook for paying 2 coal-fired power plants. The plants are owned by the Ohio Valley Electric Corporation and were built in the 1950s. Senator Herschel Craig says there is no way energy customers in Ohio should be paying for these antiquated plants. The plants are currently funded through House Bill 6, the nuclear bailout bill.
A man suspected of murder in Ohio and carjackings in Kentucky is dead. The man was killed in a standoff with police at a West Virginia gas station where he was holding 3 hostages. The multi-state search for 54-year-old David Maynard ended yesterday evening at a speedway in Cerrado. Maynard of Ironton died of injuries at a nearby hospital. All 3 hostages were safely secured and no officers were injured. The manhunt began Friday when Ironton police responded to a shots fired call where police found a 29-year-old woman tied up and Maynard's stepfather dead. Coming up, why U.S. economists say inflation is headed in the right direction, and how severe weather disasters are contributing to a blood shortage.
We have seen things start to cool down with one passing cold front, and another one is on the way, potentially bringing rain. Stay tuned to Newswatch to find out how this will impact you.
What's up, Gridiron Nation? You can catch our weekly previews of all of our Showtime games throughout the season. Pre-game huddle can be found on Gridiron Glory's Twitter and Facebook accounts. And you can check all of our written content at WOUB.org.
Once you get all those previews, don't forget to tune in to Gridiron Glory every Friday night at 11:30 p.m. for the breakdown of all those games live on WOUB and the WOUB YouTube channel. We can't wait to see you there. Until then, remember, there is nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
A race.
The loss is catastrophic for us.
To restore a medieval masterpiece.
The level of determination and the feat of engineering, just extraordinary.
Secrets.
It is a very unique opportunity.
Hidden beneath the ashes.
Kind of walking backwards in time.
Inside the incredible effort.
This is a revolution in Gothic architecture.
Rebuilding Notre Dame on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
On American Experience.
Busing will never work in this city. Never.
The decades-long struggle to integrate Boston schools.
I can remember it was an angry, angry time.
I went up to Southie High. We all knew something was going to happen.
The crowd was so violent. All I could think of was what would happen if I didn't make it to the bus.
It was the saddest day in Boston's history.
The busing battleground on American Experience.
Monday at 9 on WOUB.
Tutankhamun had many people advising him, but we do know 2 names, Ai and Horemheb.
The whole Amarna period attracting people because it is the period of Akhenaten. He said there is no God but this God.
He must have been extremely courageous to do this.
Hormheb was responsible for these emissions.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
U.S. household budgets may soon get a breather, but it's too soon to declare a victory over inflation just yet. Many economic analysts believe things are heading in the right direction, and the Federal Reserve may hold interest rates steady the next month. The average U.S. family spent around $700 more in July compared to 2 years ago to buy the same goods and services, according to Moody's Analytics. The Federal Reserve has boosted U.S. interest rates 11 times since March 2022 in an attempt to curb these rising prices. The CME FedWatch tool says the financial markets believe there's nearly a 90% chance the central bank will hold rates steady in September.
I feel like they're moving in the right direction. Hopefully, 6-12 months down the road, the Fed can start taking its foot off the brakes and lowering those interest rates, and the banking system will feel a lot better as a result.
However, some members of the Fed are still unsure. Some cities, like Atlanta, are still struggling to hit the Fed's goal, and increases may still be needed. These good looks may be short-lived as a strike looms. The president of United Auto Workers says they remain ready to negotiate as the deadline to avoid a strike fast approaches. General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis have until midnight Friday to reach a deal with the union. This year has seen more than a dozen major strikes across the country, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Ivan Rodriguez breaks down the numbers and explains what could be behind the recent labor activity.
Time is running short to avoid a historic strike at America's 3 unionized automakers. Union members are fighting for increased wages, restored pensions, and protections against job losses as production shifts to electric vehicles.
These negotiations are serious and they matter. The outcome impacts all of us.
Just 10 days of an auto workers' strike on all 3 companies could cost the U.S. economy $5 billion, according to consulting firm Anderson Economic Group.
We measure that as a positive, that corporations are doing well, but if they're not putting that money back into their companies and back into the workers and back into the economy, then there's no benefit for their profits.
We've seen at least 70 strikes in the last year, with 100 or more workers participating for more than a week, according to a Cornell University database. A 40% increase from the year prior.
I think this has been building for a while.
And they are enjoying overwhelming support from the public. A record high 61% believe unions help rather than hurt the U.S. economy, according to a recent Gallup poll.
The issues that unions are going on strike about and organizing over resonate with the public. The idea that corporations are making huge profits during times the workers are really suffering.
In Atlanta, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
Good evening. The sun is shining down here in southeast Ohio. It's about 84 out right now, and these are the first sunny skies that we've seen in a while. Now we have some high pressure that's been moving up into the area ever so slightly, causing a lot of this low pressure to continue to move out towards the east, along with that cold front where it's now pushing a lot of rain. But over to our west, we're starting to see a cold front begin to develop, and that's producing a lot of rain along with it, since that's bumping up against some warmer weather. But we're not expecting any thunderstorms to really come from this, maybe some slight thunderstorms, since a lot of this air that it's moving into isn't extremely hot or extremely humid. Now we're seeing these temperatures begin to drop as well. You can see a lot of that rain that's associated with it as well, but we've had that cold front that pushed through, dropping our initial temperatures from the 90s down into the 70s, and now we're having the second one move through. It's going to sort of sustain those temperatures. So right now we're about in the mid 80s, but with this cold front coming through, we're going to drop into the upper 70s. So it's really going to start feeling like fall. Especially tonight, we're going to have an overnight low of about 58 with those partly cloudy skies. Now we're expecting some rain down here in Athens, Ohio, but we're also going to see things start to spin up down in the Atlantic. We're looking at Hurricane Lee right now, and we previously thought that that was going to make landfall somewhere along the east coast of the U.S., but as of right now, that cold front is sort of making this trough right along the east coast that's going to push Hurricane Lee up towards the north. So really looking at that target area being a lot closer to Maine right now, and hopefully if the hurricane ever makes it up there, that it's just a bunch of rain and nothing super destructive. And now you may notice something spinning up right behind it. That is Hurricane Margot, but that is just going to make its way up right to the north, so that isn't really on track to hit the U.S. at the moment. And rain for us tomorrow is expected around the evening time. Going on into Wednesday, it's a 40% chance of showers with that 78-degree high. So it's still going to be hot, warmer in the afternoons, but with that passing cold front tomorrow, that's going to produce some cloud coverage, especially into tomorrow night. We're going to see that low pressure system specifically up towards that north area, but as this cold front continues to push right on through, it's going to produce some rain and some cloud coverage tomorrow night into Wednesday as well. So we're going to see a little bit of that cloud coverage continue on into Wednesday morning a little bit. Now those temperatures are going to drop down from 78 over to 73, and our overnight temperatures are going to be from the 56 down into the 40s. So this will be the first time since the spring that we've seen temperatures in the evening hours drop down into the 40s with a low of 46. But as that low pressure begins to make its way through, we're going to expect some high pressure to begin to come in from the north, and that'll help clear things up pretty quickly moving into Wednesday to Thursday. So we'll start to see that slight increase in conditions outside. It'll warm up, and Friday and Saturday is looking like a quite nice outside. So it'll be a good week to look forward to this week.
Thanks, Emily. The weather in Ohio may be calm right now, but the United States has seen billions in weather and climate disasters. According to new data from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the U.S. has been hit with 23 disasters so far this year, each costing at least $1 billion. The previous annual record was 22 events in 2020. This year's disasters have caused nearly $58 billion in damage, with 4 months left to go. NOAA is still analyzing Hurricane Idalia and other events, including drought in the South and Midwest. America's costliest disaster year on record was 2017, coming in at $383 billion. Those natural disasters have been contributing to another crisis. The American Red Cross says their supply has now hit what it calls critically low levels. Mandy Gaither has more on what led to the shortage and how you can help.
For months, back-to-back climate-driven disasters have further strained the U.S. blood supply, forcing the American Red Cross to sound the alarm, saying their supplies are critically low.
It has become challenging for us to meet the demand of our hospitals.
With a busy summer travel season and back-to-school activities, the organization was already seeing low donor turnout. That, paired with blood drive cancellations because of extreme weather, has led to the national blood supply dropping by nearly 25% since early August, despite a constant demand.
Blood cannot be manufactured, it can't be stockpiled, and really it's the blood on the shelves on a daily basis that is needed to save lives.
From emergencies to cancer patients and women in delivery, blood is used to help patients every day. The Red Cross says all blood types are urgently needed, but there's an emergency need for platelet donors and type O blood donors.
About 40% of this country's population is eligible to donate, and only about 4% do.
When Hurricane Idalia slammed into the southeast, the Red Cross says it was unable to collect more than 700 units of blood and platelets, and the storm season isn't over. Hurricane Lee is now being closely monitored.
The need is constant, and it's the patients that are at the other end of this life-saving product.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Anyone interested in giving blood or platelets can make an appointment through the Red Cross Blood app. Visit redcrossblood.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS.
The Food and Drug Administration approves COVID-19 vaccine boosters as winter approaches. The new boosters approval comes as the Athens City County Health Department is reporting cases have doubled over the last week. The FDA hopes the decision will help rev up protection against the latest strains of coronavirus, especially with any surges which may come with cold weather. The newest shots will come from Moderna and Pfizer. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention now must sign off and make recommendations for who needs these shots. That decision is likely to come tomorrow. Vaccination could begin later this week, just in time for flu shot season.
Coming up in sports, Ohio football is coming off a big win on the road. Hear Tim Alvin's thoughts on the win and what lies ahead for the Bobcats. That story's still ahead. And for the latest from Newswatch, check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
On American Experience,
Busing will never work in this city. Never.
The decades-long struggle to integrate Boston schools.
I can remember it was an angry, angry time.
I went up to Southie High. We all knew something was going to happen.
The crowd was so violent. All I could think of was what would happen if I didn't make it to the bus.
It was the saddest day in Boston's history.
The busing battleground on American Experience.
Monday at 9 on WOUB.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow Vintage Orlando Hour 2. We surprised a lot of folks in 2007, and you'll be surprised again.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
You're kidding.
You're taking my breath away.
You seem surprised.
I'm stunned. I'm totally stunned.
Find out about stunning changes in value next time on Antiques Roadshow Vintage Orlando Hour 2.
Monday at 8 on WOUB.
Tutankhamun had many people advising him, but we do know two names, I and Horemheb.
The whole Amarna period, attracting people because it is the period of Akhenaten. He said there is no God but this God.
He must have been extremely courageous to do this. Horemheb was responsible for these omissions.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
At 36 and again at 72, Jerry Brown became a two-term California governor. In between, he was a mayor, an attorney general, and
a candidate for the presidency.
A three-time nominee for the presidency, ahead of his time on climate change and inequality.
We needed a new spirit, and Jerry was it.
I'm representing a new generation of leadership for this country.
Join Jerry Brown, the disruptor.
They didn't call me Governor Boombeam for nothing.
On American Masters.
Friday at 9 on WOUB.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm Grant Kiefer. Well, Ohio football had no shortage of a tough non-conference slate on its schedule coming into this season, and after starting 1-1, the Bobcats got the win in South Florida against Florida Atlantic Saturday night, winning by a final score of 17-10. Now it's the first road win of the season for the Bobcats, and with plenty more road games to come, head coach Tim Albin wants his guys to embrace the hostile environments that they'll see on the road.
Well, they continue to fight and play hard. I know that. My message this afternoon to the team, particularly at the start of the game, we can perform better. I mean, it was a hostile environment. Bowling Green, whatever that is their next road game, and it's probably their homecoming. I know Northern, that's their homecoming. It's going to be hostile. It's college football, and I want us to worry about us and not get sidetracked at times.
For now, Ohio gets to stay at home as they welcome in a Power 5 opponent in Iowa State, and you'll be able to watch this one from anywhere. This game against the Cyclones will be able to be seen nationally on ESPNU this Saturday for a noon kickoff on the network, as Iowa State is coming off a loss to Iowa, while Ohio is riding a 2-game win streak, looking to make it 3. Ohio volleyball returned to the Convo for the first time this season to host the Bobcat Invitational once again. Now, there was no shortage of talent in Athens this weekend with William & Mary, UTEP, and NC State all in town, but Ohio's Caitlin O'Farrell believes her team got some much-needed experience, showing just how deep they are and being able to get others involved.
I mean, it's really great. It's just, it feels like that much more exciting because you feel like you're playing for each other, you're excited for each other. Like, I almost get more excited for other people's kills and blocks than I do for my own. So, yeah, it just feels really great just knowing that everybody's in it for the same reasons and everybody's giving it 100%.
Ohio field hockey also played its first home match this weekend and hosted a big-time foe, the Indiana Hoosiers. They stood to the challenge, though, as the Bobcats put on an absolute thriller and knocked off the Hoosiers in overtime to notch the team's first home win in 2023. The game spelled disaster early for Ohio as they went down 2-0 in the first half, but they chipped away at the lead to tie it before halftime. Defense reigned supreme in the second half with no goals on either side, but Noah Desmarais scored the game winner in overtime to improve the 2-2. Ohio soccer rounded out a busy weekend for Ohio athletics as they headed east of Virginia to face James Madison in the team's final non-conference tune-up before MAC play begins. However, the Bobcats got shut out once again, leading to a 1-0 loss on the road. Ohio's offense has struggled so far this season as the Bobcats have scored just 1 goal in its last 4 games, and the team has scored more than 1 goal in a game just once this season. The Bobcats will get a much-needed break ahead of MAC play starting, with the first MAC game on September 21st. Let's send it back.
Thanks, Grant. When we come back, a sunrise surprise you'll want to plan ahead to see. And stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
What's up, Gridiron Nation? You can catch our weekly previews of all of our Showtime games throughout the season. Pre-game huddle can be found on Gridiron Glory's Twitter and Facebook accounts. And you can check all of our written content at WOUB.org.
Once you get all those previews, don't forget to tune in to Gridiron Glory every Friday night at 11:30 p.m. for the breakdown of all those games live on WOUB and the WOUB YouTube channel. We can't wait to see you there. Until then, remember, there is nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Tutankhamun had many people advising him, but we all do know two names, I and Horemheb.
The whole Amarna period, attracting people because it is the period of Akhenaten. He said there is no God but this God.
He must have been extremely courageous to do this. Horemheb was responsible for these omissions.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
You need to face your fears.
Who displays the personality type to kill with calculation?
Anything you'd like to share, Professor?
If there's an exit wound, there's going to be a bullet. I'd say it's game.
Game on, indeed. We could get into very deep water on this.
If you need us, we're not going anywhere.
There are events that transform ordinary things.
I guess it's like when your own home is on fire. You're going to rush in to try and save some of the things that mean most to you.
When there are relics that are associated with tremendously powerful events, it doesn't matter how ordinary the thing is. It's not ordinary anymore.
Thursday at 10 on WOUB.
A newly discovered comet will be closest to Earth around sunrise tomorrow. Comet Nishimura is already visible from Earth, from amateur astronomers spotting it with the naked eye. Your best chance to see it may be checking the horizon just before sunrise. With Nishimura being about 78 million miles away, the website EarthSky says it could be difficult for some to see. That's because it'll be just north of the eastern horizon, and the sun's brightness could overpower it. Nishimura will be the closest to the sun on September 17th, which might be the best chance for many to spot it.
Well, I don't know about you all, but I've been enjoying these slightly cooler temperatures. The 90s just wiped me out. I know how you're all
Yeah, it
feeling.
feels like football weather again. That's what I could say, being outside and being able to enjoy the NFL being back yesterday.
Absolutely. It's definitely nice to get a break from the super hot weather. I'm enjoying staying in a little bit, you know, but yeah.
Oh, for sure. And we're going to continue to see cooler temperatures tonight. We're expecting it to be about 58 degrees with partly cloudy skies. And tomorrow we might see a 40% chance of showers, mainly starting in the evening hours. So we're still going to see those mid to upper 70s. 78 is expected to be our high. And we're actually going to have a cold front that's currently developing out west right now, producing a little bit of rain. So tomorrow that's going to start making its way through. So we're still going to have a little bit of sunshine in the morning times, but by the evening, clouds will start to roll in, as well as Wednesday morning. So we're not really expecting any thunderstorms to come from this, just some rain and cloudy skies. But Wednesday, a high pressure system is beginning to move in, leaving us with a lovely week next week. It's going to be this week, some bright sunny skies and a slow increase in our temperatures.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Ethan Sargent.
And for Grant Kiefer and Emily Dietz, I'm Jessica Stelzer. Stay tuned to the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime.
This is the PBS app, ready for you when you want to watch full episodes of your favorite shows. Even stream